Hey there, friends and fans. Welcome to another episode of The Magic of Music. My name is John Lirac, and today we're going to continue our discussion on intervals. If you may recall, an interval is the distance between two notes. Intervals can be really close together, sounding something like this, or they can be really far apart, maybe like this. So it's important as musicians that we know what those intervals are, what to call them, and what they sound like, because they can make a really big difference in the music that we're playing or the music that we're writing. In our previous video, we discussed seconds, minor seconds and major seconds, also known as half steps and whole steps. Those are the closest intervals we have in Western music. And so we start with at the beginning, but now we're going to go a little further and we're going to talk about thirds. Like seconds, thirds can be either minor or major. And they're a really important interval because you may be familiar with a chord, what a chord is. Well, a chord, for simplistic reasons, a chord has at least three notes in it that sound like they belong together. Some chords can have many more than three notes in them. And power chords only have two notes in them. But for our example today, and for most of music, a chord has at least three notes. And what makes a difference between major and minor is that middle note, or the third. We start and we have our first note, which we call one, and we go up, skip the next one, and go up to the next one after that, which is three, skip the next one, which is four, and the next one, which is five. So we play 1, 3, and 5. And together that forms what we call a major chord. And those sound all happy and we can play them and all kinds of stuff. That sound really lively, really upbeat, really joyous. But that requires that we have a major third in there, again here. To make it sound different, we want to lower that third. Some would say we might flat it, but we're going to lower it down to a minor third. So instead of being here, we're going to be here. That gives us a change in the flavor of the chord. So now we sound like this, or we might be sounding a little bit dark and forbidding. You may know this piece. That's Chopin's Funeral March, and it certainly doesn't sound happy. It sounds like death. A little side story is one time was playing for a wedding and I had a groom say, "Would you play that when I come out?" I told him the bride would kill me, and so I wouldn't do it. I kind of wish now that I had. It would be a funny moment to do that. But anyway, that's a minor chord, and the Funeral March is built on a bunch of minor chords. So we have the difference between major, all nice and happy and pretty, and minor, that sounds a little sad. Well, so far, I've just talked about major and minor thirds as they relate to chords. And you know that the major third is a little bit higher than the minor third, but let's learn how to hear them and let's put them into practice. If we focus over here on the keyboard, I'm going to keep on white notes, and I'm going to tell you first of all that if you go from any white note and skip one note and go to the next note, you're always going to be playing a third, no matter if you're going down, up, or in both directions at the same time. So it can vary between being a major and minor third, and here's why. If we get a closer look at the keyboard, we come down here and adjust this. I'll adjust the camera just a little bit so you can see my hand here. And if this is a major third, and I'm going to just worry about white keys on the piano for right now. The black keys can also create major thirds and minor thirds, but we're going to worry about the white keys for now. So if we come up here and we're just playing up the white keys like this, started down here on C, and we call that 1. The next note, D, is 2, and this note is 3. And in later videos, we'll learn that we go all the way up to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we can keep going. But for this, we're going to start on C, and we're going to say 1, 2, 3. And that's a major third. Now, what's the difference between that and the minor? Well, look at my hands change for the minor third. Instead of playing this, we play this. What did my fingers do? It went from here and it came down to one of these black keys. So the difference in between is for a major third, we're technically skipping 1, 2, 3 other keys if we consider the black keys as well. So we skip this, and we have a major third. But a minor third only skips 2 keys in between, 2 pitches. So I can show you using other examples. We can come down here and we can use the black keys a little bit, or up here. So if I want to go here and I'm just traversing up here, this is a major third. And before I go on, I'll review seconds for you. You know, this is a second, and it's a major second. Why? Because that's a minor second. They're as close together as they possibly can be. So when we skip one note in between, it's a major second. When we skip two notes in between, it's a minor third. And then a major third has three keys or three pitches in between. So we can have a major third or a minor third. We can have a minor third or a major third. Minor, major, major, minor. Well, so far we've talked about major and minor thirds and how they're used in chords, and I've shown you what they look like on the keyboard, but now we want to get those sounds on our ears. As musicians, it's really important that we know what those intervals sound like, especially if we're playing something or singing something, even more importantly, for the first time. The way a lot of us do that is we think of songs that we know really well, that we know we could never, ever in a million years sing wrong, that have that particular interval that we're concerned about, whether it's a second, like a minor second I showed you last week, Jaws, or the Psycho theme. The major second, we had something like Happy Birthday. Well, in thirds, we also have really famous tunes that we can also use to help identify that in another song that we don't know, or we're singing for the first time, or we're trying to listen to it and write it down. It's like, oh, I don't know, what is that? I maybe get the first note, but what's the second note? And I don't know. Oh, it sounds like, oh, when the saints. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Well, those first two notes are a major third. Other songs you might hear are, I see trees of green. So that first, I see trees, is another great one. Another one you might want to look at is For He's a Jolly Good Fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. Those are all examples of major thirds that go up. Well, what about major thirds that go down? They start at one note and they go down a major third. It might be a little harder thinking, oh, when the saints, and going, oh, when, oh. That might be hard for you to identify backwards. So, swing low, sweet chariot, or summertime, and the living is easy. Those first two notes, in either case, are major thirds. And if we know songs like that we can identify the interval, we can look at something else and say, oh, I know what the interval is because it sounds like, pick your song, pick your interval. So those are major thirds. Well, now let's look at minor thirds. And this time we're going to start descending, going down. You can have songs like Frosty the Snowman. That Frosty is a minor third. You could also have Hey Jude, don't be afraid. Those notes, Hey Jude, are a minor third. Well, we'll end with minor thirds that go up. A couple examples of those are Georgia, Georgia. That first Georgia is a minor third. And another minor third that going up that you may be familiar with is Oh Canada, oh Canada. That's a minor third, those first two notes, oh can. So now you have your major and minor thirds. Again, you have your major chord, which has a major third starting from the bottom, or you have your minor third, which has a minor third at the bottom. And you have examples of things that they sound like Hey Jude, which is a minor third, or well, When the Saints, which is a major third, major going down, major going up, minor going up, or minor going down. But those are examples of thirds. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Magic of Music and the magic of intervals, because without these intervals, we couldn't create a lot of the amazing music that we all love. If you did have a good time and enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below, subscribe to my page, and turn on notifications so you'll know when something else is getting ready to drop. I'd also appreciate it if you would follow me on Facebook and Instagram under John Lee Rack Music. Until the next time, thanks for tuning in.